Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in this beautiful, beautiful community. And I'd like to share with you a sentiment of metta, loving kindness. And this is a piece of artwork made by our wonderful friend Sean C., who's here today. He painted this in a large, beautiful painting that he sent me, and I cut it up in different pieces and wrote a sentiment of metta on the back. This one reads, "May the brightness of the day bring clarity. May the brightness of the day bring clarity." All right. Today, we are continuing our theme and our conversation, focusing on one of the foundations of the Buddhist practice. There are several, and this one is certainly one that the Recovery Dharma team who produced the book, who really recreated this program, has invested a lot of weight, a lot of attention. And this is the four foundations of mindfulness. This is the bedrock of our practice. And one of the things we've been doing in the Spokane Sangha for the month of January is we've been looking at the fluidity of these foundations, how we identify one and it flows into the next and it flows into the next and it flows into the next, as opposed to treating the four foundations as bullet points, something that we number 1 through 4 and memorize. And so I would really like to create a practice today that focuses on how we can use these four foundations, these points of attention, to create a holistic practice for us that keeps us well grounded in the present moment and keeps us anchored to our breath, to our really good-natured hearts, to our impeccably wise minds, and to the fact that we all have an awakening, pristine Buddha nature. And so with that, I'd like to invite you all to drop into your body. And if your body needs to rest today, to allow your body full permission to lie down, to fall asleep even, to nap for a moment. On the journey of recovery, on the journey of life, frankly, we don't often get the amount of rest that we need. And there is a lot of illness going around, there's a lot of stress going around, and so sleep can be disrupted. I personally have been dealing with a really terrible sleep situation. I've been having quite a bit of insomnia. And a lot of it is due to anxiety that just flares up. I wake up in the middle of the night and before I can even come into consciousness or awareness, I've got these anxious echoes, these anxious whispers, this anxious feeling in my body. And I'm completely gripped by it until I wake up enough to pay attention. And by then I'm so awake, it's hard to fall back to sleep. So let's use anxiety as a focal point of the four foundations today. I beg your pardon, as the Four Noble Truths today. So the first noble truth is that we're going to experience dissatisfaction. We're going to be uncomfortable in this life, in this human body, in this human experience. This discomfort will present on a spectrum where we're going to have just mild irritation at times to real suffering, real despair and bewilderment, grief. There are community members here today, present, who are carrying with them the very heavy load of grief, the death of a loved one. And that creates in the mind and body a lot of anxiety, a lot of wonder, bewilderment, distress. There are community members who are working with illness, whether in themselves or a loved one. They might be waiting on test results. And so in that space of uncertainty, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of distress. What's happening? What could happen? The second noble truth is there are reasons for our distress. There are reasons for our discomfort. And so in the place of anxiety, if that's going to be our focal point, there are reasons for why we get anxious, why I get anxious. And I'd like to bring forward that the specificity of my anxiety isn't always relevant. Said another way, I don't have to work really hard in my meditation to try to nail down what exactly is the cause of my anxious feeling. I'm feeling anxious and it's connected to this and to that and to this and to that. I could spend a lot of time and energy puzzling that out. But it's not always necessary. For me, sometimes working with the conditions of anxiety is all about inviting into my heart-mind the spaciousness of neutrality so that my anxiety can simply exist as it is. And I can be with it without being governed by it. So when I'm anxious and I'm creating a neutral condition for it to be, I'm not pretending it's not there. I'm not getting so gripped by it that I can't breathe, that I can't find some stillness, that I can't enjoy the moment, or at least a moment, nor am I trying to make my anxiety something other than what it is. I don't spend much time treating my anxiety as if it is a visitor that shouldn't be there, or it should manifest in some other form. Like, golly, Julia, you're anxious about this, and just think positively. It'll be all right. You're okay. Don't worry about it. That doesn't really work for me very effectively. What works for me is, oh, anxiety is here. I see you. There are many reasons for it. There are many conditions for it. How are you living in my body? How are you showing up in my mind? Can I come into my body and add some remedy through a little movement, a little rest, some breathing? Working with my mind is a little bit different. 9 times out of 10, when I'm anxious, it is because my mind is resurrecting the past and trying to make it the present. And my favorite practice for addressing this perception in my mind is something Lo taught me. And it's simply to say, this is not that. There are many things in my past, experiences in my past that have left scars that are incredibly tender to touch. And every once in a while, in my present moments, I touch those scars and my past rises up. But it's not really my past, it's the shadows and the echoes of my past. And they are a haunting presence. But what I'm experiencing in my present moment, this, is not that. And so I can stay with the second noble truth and remind myself very gently, oh, Julia, you're worried about what happened long ago, and you have reason to. That was terrible. But this is something else. This is not that. And furthermore, this moment, take a look around, Julia. You're not on a pediatric cancer ward. You're in a sanctuary, and you're meditating with a community of wise friends. And we're breathing together. That's what's happening in this moment. And this moment. And this moment. I don't have to spend any energy trying to make my anxious arising anything other than what they are. That's there. I see you, anxiety. You are real. You have a place in my life. And you don't get to run the show today. The moment does, this moment. And when I can do that, friends, the third noble truth begins to come forward. And this is the cessation of discomfort. This is the end of suffering for the moment. In the Recovery Dharma book, it refers to the end of craving or attachment. For me, it is a feeling of harmony, okayness, enoughness. Anxiety doesn't feel good in my body, and it doesn't feel good in my mind. My stomach is sour usually. My neck is kind of tight. My mind is racing sometimes. It doesn't feel good. It is not okay. But when I create the conditions of neutrality, another aspect of me comes forward that is quiet and still, open and curious. And I begin to feel okay. And this not okay coalescing with my okayness, it feels like harmony. I feel settled. And the fourth noble truth is there's a way to this. The Noble Eightfold Path gives us these concepts and these guides and these little signposts that kind of keep us going. I call it practice. identify the discomfort. And to identify the discomfort does not mean allow the discomfort to be your identity. That's why creating the conditions of neutrality is so important. We don't need to identify so deeply. We don't need to be gripped by whatever is causing our discomfort. I have anxiety, I get anxious, but I'm not just an anxious person. I'm working with it. I'm seeing it. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to understand its conditions. And when I do, I'm a little less anxious. There's more space for me to be at ease. So let's take a moment of silence and work with this, and hopefully you can feel the fluidity of this alive and activated in your own bodies and minds. See if you can identify something that is unsatisfactory for you, something that has caused some distress or some upset. See if you can name it and identify it. And then through your own wise understanding, see if you can notice the conditions surrounding that upset. And if you can't, if it's not clear, invite that to be perfect. That's okay. And instead, see if you can create a little neutrality. Would you look at that? I've got a whole lot of upset going on. I wonder what that's all about. I don't know. I think I'll just sit with it a minute. Breathe. Remind yourself that with your capacity to create neutrality, with your capacity to observe your own emotional landscape as a full and deep, rich human being, there's so much about you that is okay. Amazing, resourceful, strong. Breathing in, identify the upset. Breathing out, space to be neutral. Breathing in, calm, still clarity. Breathing out, a ripening sense of ease and peace. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let's go ahead, friends, and end our practice today with a dedication of merit. Today we heard from one of our cherished Sangha members that these difficult feelings, this first noble truth, is sometimes a really shitty experience. And that is so true. And how do we stay present to that when everything in our mind and heart is having us want to run away? And maybe taking a break from it is what we need to do from time to time. Coming to a meeting, talking to a friend, going for a walk, making a good meal. It is a practice, friends, and we are not here to perfect it. We are here simply and profoundly to practice. May you find comfort in your practice. May you find wise friends to support your practice. May you tap into the infinite wellspring of your creativity and your passion to engage your practice. And may part of your practice include time to rest, time to be still, time to simply take a deep, nurturing breath. You bless this space with your presence. You bless this space with your sharing. You inspire the spirit of this community and me personally. Thank you so much for your practice, friends. We'll see you next time. Namaste.